Hi, I know it's been a minute. Thank you so much for coming back and joining my podcast, Heartful the Podcast. Thank you so much for showing up, okay? For listening, for tuning in, because I know I'm not consistent. And I haven't been on here in a while, okay? So if you are listening, if you choose to listen, all of the things, I appreciate it because you don't have to. You could be tuning into something else, somewhere else, doing something, okay? Um, but yes, I have been gone from doing this. Um, but so much has transpired that I have been wanting to talk about because it's just been a lot. It's been a lot going on, a lot of changes for me, new healing phases, and still building my career and adding more to my caseload. You guys know I have been already on this journey of like, Lord, have your way, or the Lord will provide, I should say. And it's still very much so that journey. Also, though, I have been gaining a lot of clients, a lot more clients than I did before. So that's good. My caseload is building. I might have a place somewhere to do therapy with children on a consistent basis, like one day out of the week. So that's good. I do look forward to that. That will brighten my horizons, and um, it will give me more another growth opportunity and learning opportunity. It's been great. Speaking of learning opportunities and growth opportunities, because I have the supervisor that I have, which I'm very thankful for. Y'all know I believe this is a God led position that I'm in, or internship that I'm in. Um, she gave us this book to read. We read, or we go through these, what do you want to call them? Like lessons, pretty much, called didactics. Every so often, or they last for a significant. They last for like weeks on end, right? And this time it was around a book called Brain Talk, and it pretty much shows you, or it tells you, pretty much to believe people, how they present themselves, believe them, right? Not sugarcoating it, not looking at the potential of them, not turning a blind eye to what you actually see, right? If they are withholding information, if they are lying, if they are an evil person, believe them to be that. If they are disgusting, believe them to be that. We tend to like to sugarcoat and put frosting on people and give them what ifs and the benefit of the doubts. And sometimes that is great, but a lot of times people show you exactly who they are, right? And there's that saying, when they show you who they are, believe them. But I don't think we actually do that, or we wait until the last minute to do that. Like after all of the bad things they have done, or all the things that they have done, that's when we choose to believe them. After we've already been like hurt and misused or taken advantage of, then that's when we want to choose to believe them. Even though they've been showing us that since the beginning, you know? And so she had us reading this book. It's called Brain Talk, I believe. I was trying to find the book so I can show y'all. I don't think that's it. Oh, it's in my purse. Never mind. But yeah, so I think it's a great read. It also it trains you to be able to see people. The guy believes, the author believes that we have this innate ability to, be able to see that anyway. It's just like his example would be, how you're walking down the street and you make a snap judgment in, if I need to move across the street because of whoever's approaching, right? If I need to move across the street, if I need to move closer in, or if it's, I can smile. Well, they look friendly. I can smile at them, give them a grin, whatever. I don't have to, those quick judgments when you approach people. That's an innate ability that we all have, right? And he talks about how, with that ability, it either we either continue to use that, right? Not continue to use it, that's not right, but we our ability to use it more like clearly and accurately can get shaped over time depending on the people that we're around, the environment we are in, right? Um, and a lot of times, people in unhealthy living situations can that can throw off our ability to be more clear in that. He calls it mind mapping. I'm trying to not use that word and use it in more words that you guys can understand, but I just can't. But he calls it mind mapping, and he says, the more we are around unhealthy environments or people, the more our mind mapping ability changes to more of a traumatic mind mapping ability, and in that way, we see things differently. We become blind to the traumatic or unhealthy people that switched our mind mapping, but yet we can use it for other people. You know what I'm saying? Or it's hard for us to. That's a lot, but I think it's a good book or whatever. I think everyone should, invest in it, read up on it, and see how it affects you. But reading it has affected me a lot, especially when it came to my ex. And a situation came about where I was able to see him even the more, even more clear than before, right? There was, of course, after our relationship, it was very murky waters, right? It was very murky waters. Nothing was clear. And that's just how it was, right? And then there was an agreement that was had that we was going to work on ourselves so we can come back together, and then it was that period, right? And then it became him not being truthful of what he wanted, him being very, very murky, but still calling on me, relying on me for different things, and still banking on me to be the same person, but yet he wasn't being truthful about who he was and what he was actually doing. And then so it got to a point where I was just like, well, F that. And F you in our relationship, pretty much. And so I kind of, not I kind of, but um, that was a healing point for me, right? The relationship ending, right? That was that healing point for me. And so that was that or whatever. And then, but just recently, and that was actually just recently, that was like July of last year. Um, but even more recently, like January of this year, I was able to see him for the person of who he is, and then having to heal from that now. Um, because he not even to he became, but this is really who he has always been. You know what I'm saying? But a situation arose where he was supposed to be paying this bill, right? We were splitting the bill, right? Each month, my phone bill, but not my phone, our phones. Um, on my account, but we were splitting it, right? And then it came to a month where he wasn't able to. He waited till the last minute to let me know that he was going to be able to pay it, and then I was like, pretty much, what's happening here? He said he was going to take care of it. Lo and behold, he did not. It came to a point where I ended up having to take care of the whole thing. Um, take care of the whole thing, and I was like, well, you know what? I can't continue to do this because clearly my income is extremely limited, and I have a whole other human depending on me, so I can't pay for a whole bill that both of us are using by myself, not with the income that I have, right? And so and that was a thing for him. He didn't like that or whatever, but I was like, we're gonna have to split this off, so you go ahead and transfer your line over, take over your line or whatever, and you just have your bill over there, pretty much. And so what it boiled down to is that he never followed through with that, right? I contacted the people, I set everything up multiple times, and he never followed through. And come to find out, he kept the phone kept disconnecting whenever it was time for him to confirm on his end that things were getting transferred over to him. He was hanging up on the people, period. Um, and like the conversation that we were having, or we were having, and how he was talking or whatever in the midst of the conversation, it was just very like he didn't care. It was disrespectful or whatever. And like I'm steady trying to still really make sure you're good, but just get off my line like that. Just get off my account. You be on your own account. You know what I'm saying? But there was no collaborating with that. There was no just trying to be an adult about the situation, right? And so, yeah, it just showed me a lot of who he really is. Because I was talking to the people and talking to him at the same time, and there was nothing but lies coming across the text message between him and I while I'm steady on the phone with the people. Like, you're literally lying to me while I'm talking to them. And I was just like, this is bananas, right? And and I wholeheartedly believe he banked on me never figuring out that he never got the phone lines transferred, because it wasn't until the next month when I figured it out that the lines never transferred over. Um, he banked on me never figuring that part out. He banked on me never or letting it all go. He banked on me not standing up for myself, pretty much, not putting my foot down about nothing. He banked on me allowing him to do whatever he wanted, because in our relationship, that's what I did, right? In the sense of, no, that's what I did for a long time. For a long time, that's what I did. I let him do not necessarily whatever he want, but he got away with a lot of things. One, because I believe, I mean, I believe I said this before on here, but I believe that covenant is not just marriage, right? Not only marriage, right? That like the actual act of going to go get married. I believe a covenant is a vow between you and God, and I believe we were actually in a covenant together. And for the sake of that, I was doing what everything I needed to do to try to like cover and fix our relationship as much as I could. But I was the only one doing that, right? But in that situation, I'm not going to blast everything that you're doing, because why would I do that when I want to continue to be in a relationship with you? That doesn't make any sense. So I forgave a lot of things. A lot of things I forgave. And in the hope of that we were actually moving forward, moving on to a healthier place, closer together, building all of the things was my hope, and also what I thought we agreed on to do, right? So yes, a lot of things slid by, but they slid by in the hopes that things were actually getting better, and not staying where they were or even getting worse. And then also, I'm believing God for things to change, right? In this covenant under God, the God that I serve, I am going to take a lot of things to pray or to God in prayer, right? We're going to pray about this, do all the things, whatever the case may be. I'm covering you to the best of my ability with my own healing also. But yeah, all of the things. So things, I forgave a lot of things or whatever. And I know he banked on me continuing to do that. It was such a freeing moment, because even in that time, or in the time with the phone bills and everything or whatever happening, and me trying to figure out what the heck I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna handle that, I sent a message to one of my good friends, and I was like, pretty much like, how do I how do I turn the cheek? How do I still give love and grace and do all these things or whatever, but yet also set boundaries in this situation? And my friend was like, you are not his wife anymore. But yeah, she was like, you are not his wife. He is not your husband. Y'all not together. He is not your boyfriend. You do not need to cover him. You are no longer in the position to cover him. She was like, that is no longer your job. You are now in the position to co-parent, and that is where you are. Y'all not even friends, and that was the truth, right? We weren't, and we aren't friends, because of his own behavior, but we aren't friends. And she was like, y'all not friends. Y'all need to work on being co-parents. That is where y'all are right now. She was like, you do not need to cover him anymore. That is not your job. And I was like, ugh, okay. Okay. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna be harsh, but I don't I am not in the position. I'm not your girl. I don't have to cover you. And you are accountable. And she was pretty much saying like he is also accountable for his actions. He's a grown man and he's also a parent. He has children. You need to be supporting them and providing for them. And he's not doing that or whatever. And so that is his responsibility as a parent to cover his children. And he's not covering them anyway, shape or form. Okay. And so that was just very freeing to hear that. And it helped me move on to be able to deactivate the phone line and to block the phone or deactivate the phone line. Excuse me. Deactivate the phone line. I reported it stolen, and I also put him on child support because he also banked on the fact that I didn't believe in child support. I really didn't. Not I didn't believe in it. I'm not going to say that. But I believe that as adults, we should be able to communicate what needs to be done for the child. That's what I believe, right? I also believe that if I'm in a position where I can cover my child without you, I don't need to put you on child support because money is going to make you show up for the child anyway. That's what I believe. And I've hold true to that. And I've also believed in not putting the black man in the system. That is just bottom line. That is how I felt. I didn't want to put the black man back into the system, a system that don't care about us for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to do that too. Um, but it can, and he banked on that because he knows that's how I felt about it, right? Because he tried to mention child support before in a conversation when I literally just asked him. I literally said I feel like it's an issue when I ask you about money. It becomes a problem for you. Or when I mention money, not ask him about money, but when I mention money, it's a problem for you. And it literally was a problem for him. Each and every time he would get attitude and and a huff and puff and woo woo woo, and I would just be like, "But nigga, I don't ask you for nothing." That is the thing, and that has always been the thing. I don't ask you for anything ever, never. You don't give nothing. I don't ask you for nothing. He lives his life as if he is a single dude with no kids. That's how he lives his life. I don't know about now because he with a girl that got kids, but that ain't none of my business. But he moves like he don't have children. Okay? And so, and do that. Live your life is how I feel. But you're not going to take advantage. That's not what you're going to do. You're not going to take advantage of me and what's going on here. And that's how I felt when it came to specifically the phone. Like you're taking advantage of the situation or whatever when you know I don't have income like that at the time. My income was way lower than it is now. And you know the struggle that's happening over here, but yet you are okay and content with me paying this full bill by myself when I have no real ability to do so. That's wild to me, right? So with the information that I obtained and what I'm learning or whatever, it helped me see him for who he really is, one that was taking advantage of my faith and my belief system in our relationship, and a person who lies and deceives, that manipulates, that gaslights, and he is a womanizer. Period, point blank, right? And that caused me to go through another sense of grief, like grieving who I thought he was, to now seeing him as who he actually is, right? And in this process of healing in this new area, grieving this in this new space, right, of healing, it has also caused me to be jaded a bit when it comes to men. And that's not where I want to stay. I don't want to stay here because I know that all men aren't that way, right? Logically, I understand that. But emotionally, y'all trash to me, right? Like, y'all trash. Especially if I see the same behaviors, like, you're trash, okay? But in this season of healing, right? I know I don't want to continue to be that way. Um, so I am intentional about my healing space when it comes to that. Like I've had to tell friends, like, please don't talk to me about what your boyfriends or husbands aren't doing, because I'm not going to like them. There's no grace. I'm not giving any grace nor compassion. So just don't tell me. I'm not in a place to receive that information because I'm not going to like them anymore. So, and it's not okay. Right. And that's not how I want to be. But right now, because of my healing space and journey, I just can't receive that. It's, well, I can't receive it if you're going to stay with them. I should make that clear. I can't receive it if that's where you're going to remain. And you're remaining there, to me, without any real change. It's not sitting well within my soul. So I just can't right now. But later on, I will. When this season passes, it'll be different, because even in the book doesn't just want you to see more clearly, but also bring you to a place where you can then extend compassion for the people that are behaving in those manipulative or evil ways. And you have you have that compassion because you're able to then see, like, wow, you're behaving that way because of X, Y, and Z, and that must be tough for you, right? It's not a me thing; it's a you thing, and that must be really tough for you. But the healing process is to not immediately go to compassion, but to see them first, right? See them for who they are, see them for what they're exhibiting towards you, and assess how that makes you feel, assess how that has affected you, heal that within you, right? And then extend that compassion towards them, that grace and compassion towards them, because, like, wow, you must have gone through X, Y, and Z, and that's why you're so trash. Or you must be feeling ABCD within yourself, and that's why you're exhibiting this toxic trash behavior. It must be tough. Like that. That's how it's supposed to go. And I feel like I'm easing more into the compassion part of it. But I'm just not there yet. I'm not there yet. And niggas are trash to me. Especially him. He's trash. He's a trash nigga. Especially because of how he continues to be. That's what makes it tough for me still is because it's not like it was just a one-off thing. Like the bill was just a one-off. There's multiple bills that he is supposed to pay off or help me pay off and has not, did not, ain't said nothing about. Okay. And then there's also this walking financial responsibility, who is his child, that he covers at, there's no covering, there's no support, there's no showing up, there's inconsistencies, there's no follow through, right? You speak to him maybe once a week, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, maybe. You show up to see him maybe once every 3 weeks. And then if and there's no communication on that end, right? There's no, oh, I'm thinking about picking, or can I pick him up on such and such a date, and be consistent in that, right? There's no consistency here, and there's no communication, because if I say no, that date don't work, then you're stonewalling, then you're ignoring, then you're avoiding because you didn't get your way. What? Like, I don't care if you don't show up, because you're not my dad and you're not my nigga. I don't care about that, right? But your son is affected by that. And the fact that you don't care enough about that part is what's astounding to me. And it's also the audacity that you think that you will show up at any point that you like and things are supposed to go your way. No, we're living a whole life over here with routines and daily things, and you don't get to pop up whenever you feel like it and disrupt that. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. So it's the audacity for me that gets me each and every time, and it's the continued inconsiderate behavior and the disrespect and the all of those things or whatever that just makes it even more, that's making this healing process for me take a little bit longer because I'm not even gonna say working on, I'm really just giving it over to the Lord each and every time, because it makes me angry. So it makes me angry. Um and I just don't understand it, and it makes me angry, not even just at him but the people around him. Like, who's around you? Because when we were together, I would ask him often what was happening with his children. Had he talked to, before the other one popped up, had he wasn't on me, the other one was already around. But had he talked to the one that I had met and was around more often, had he talked to his mom, had he talked to him, I would ask about that often. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that the girl he with now, if they together or not, is not, but not even just her, but like the family around you, like the people around you. Who? I just don't get that. If my brother was not talking to his children, what? And to see the man that my brother is, the father that my brother is, without the example of being a father for real, makes me look at my son's dad like, you, what? And I know environments are different, all of that are different, people are different, but come on, for real. That's why you really have choices. Either you're going to be what you see, or you're going to choose to be different. It's a choice to remain like your environment or to choose to be different. It's literally a choice of yours. It's work to be different, but it's still a choice. And you choosing to be a trash nigga just because that's what you see. And no. So a lot's going on over here. Like healing wise and journey wise, and my healing journey wise, I should say. Um, yeah, so I'm single parenting. I'll just say that, just go there. So I'm single parenting, right? And in my single parenthood, it's exhausting and it can be tired, but I love my child so much, right? I was talking to my supervisor we had supervision on Monday, and I didn't really have another case to present or whatever. And so I was like, well, we could talk about how I'm trying to teach my son how to regulate his emotions. And she was like, okay. And I was like, for real? And she said, yeah, if it's going to help you be a bit better therapist, sure, let's talk about it. And so I was talking about it with her or whatever, and she was giving me some good feedback. And one of the big things, which I know I need to work on, is like practicing like grounding tools and calming techniques or whatever outside of his heightened emotions, right? Same thing I may tell my clients. You have to work on your mindfulness techniques and your grounding tools or exercises outside of the anxiety moments, because in the anxiety moments, if you don't have any tools to grab, it's not going to be automatic for you to do so, right? So practicing them outside of those times helps you better in those moments, so it can be an automatic grab for you. And she pretty much said that for him, and I was like, yep, makes sense, because I say it to my clients all the time. But I just feel so exhausted a lot of the times of exhausted by doing everything right and being everything right all the time. Like teaching him to regulate his emotions while also regulating my own. And then also teaching him about stranger danger. I know that's not what it's called anymore, but that's the best way to just say it simply. Teaching him about stranger danger, and just those two things. And in the conversation with her, teaching him about stranger danger also means I have to teach him about body safety. And that's something that, like, it crossed my mind, but it never really crossed my mind because he had always been with me, right? So there was no reason for me to really teach him about body safety, because it's just him and I. And then so excuse me. And then so now it's like, okay, so teaching him how to regulate his emotions, finding tools and techniques to teach him to outside of those heightened moments, of course. And then it's also teaching him how to identify his emotions and what emotion is this and that, right? And then it's hugs and high fives for friends and family, waves for strangers, or high fives for strangers, and teaching him who the heck a stranger is, right? And identifying friends and family for him. And then also body safety, teaching him about that, teaching him the difference between touching, feeling, so he knows what a good touch is, a bad touch is, a good feel is, a bad touch feel is, a bad feel is. And then his private is his private, even though I actually say the word, but his private is his private, right? No one else touches it. I have not done those things, but so to think about all of that and doing all of that by myself is exhausting, right? And in that session I was having, my colleague was also there, and she was like, I just wanted to say that I see you, because I also said it's overwhelming when I was conversing about it all. And she was like, I just want to stop and say that I see you, right? She was like, all of this, this is a lot of work, and you're doing it by yourself as a single parent. She was like, I see you, and I want you to know that, and you are putting in work or whatever to do so. But I see you. I can see how it's exhausting. And yeah, and it touched me because being a single parent can be an invisible responsibility, meaning people don't see you. They just expect you to. And that's it. They just expect you to, and that's all. There's such a higher expectation for a mom to be a mom than there is a higher expectation for a dad to be a dad. And that's so strange to me. I mean it's actually very patriarchal, but that needs to end, because it's the responsibility of both parents, right, to take care of the household and the child. But that's all on me. And she was just like, I see you. And when I tell you when I got off of that session, I sent a voice note to Buki, and I was like, Girl, let me just tell you what my colleague just told me. And I was like, because it's so exhausting. And I'm so, like, bawling, okay? Bawling because it is. And I did feel seen. And I thanked her later on that day because we still had more groups and supervisions to do. But I thanked her later on that day or whatever. And she was like, no, I truly, she was like, I just wanted you to know that. I just wanted you to know that. Even my supervisor was like, we can all see that you love your son. We can all see that, and you are dedicated to making him a whole person. And Buki was like, girl, you about to have me cry when I sent her that voice now. um but yeah, so there are moments where, and then I had a moment where I had to tell my brother, I don't know who's going to see this podcast or listen to this podcast, but if it is family, this is nothing you have ever heard, and it will be news for you because no one knows except for DJ now. Um, Yeah, but I had a conversation because I was having such a hard time. One weekend, my mom was supposed to watch my son, but communication got crossed and she wasn't able to. And I just felt so, I was I was so upset because I don't have nobody to watch my kid. Right? Like the time where I want like that night, that actually like literally out or night out, which I don't go out often at all, right? Or even just a night to sleep by myself, you know what I'm saying? And then something to do without him, kid free, possibly all day, maybe. Um, I don't have those moments often, right? And then I didn't have that again, and I was just like, oh my, I was so mad because I was so mad and disappointed and upset, and because like nigga, this is a two-parent job. Like I was upset, right? Um, because I don't have anyone to watch my kid. No one, I don't have anyone to watch him, and let alone spend the night anywhere. I don't have any. I don't because Duda still sleeps with me to go to sleep, right? He still cuddles with me to go to sleep. And the people that I do, I'm not gonna say I don't have anyone to watch my kid. That's not true. I do have people that will watch my child. But overnight watching, I don't have. Because he still sleeps with me and cuddles with me to go to sleep, I don't have anyone that I think would be comfortable with that. And that's totally fine. I wouldn't like want to make them do that, right? Um, yeah, I don't know how comfortable Duda would be with that, and I don't know how comfortable they would be with that either. So it's just like I don't, I don't have no one to watch him overnight, except for my mother, right? And she couldn't at that time, but my mom would always say like, well, I can ask such and such, I can ask such and such, and it was just bothering me because the pressure of having someone that I don't really know how they feel about me to watch my kid, and because my family's temperament can be up and down, and especially when it comes to me, I feel like not especially, but when it comes to me, our relationship ain't that great, and so I just I like we cool now, but one thing happened, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna get cussed out. I'm all the bees in the world, and then it's just up, right? And I don't know how I feel about leaving my people with, or leaving my son with finicky people such as that, right? But it was bothering me the next day, bothering me, and I was about to make a post because it just reminded me of how I was taken advantage of when I was younger, right? And so I don't have it was that kept coming up for me or whatever, and the fact that you can't trust family just because family is family does not mean you can trust them for real. I was supposed to be in a trusted space with family, you know what I'm saying? And I was still taken advantage of by their child, a cousin of mine. And family ain't family. You know what I'm saying? And it was just bothering. I mean, and she doesn't know, but it just bothered me because family, not family. And if I'm saying like, no, I'm not comfortable with it, then it's a no. And I'm not comfortable with it. Kind of stop bringing it up. Not kind of, but just end it there. Cause I said no and I don't want to. Right. And it was bothering me that Saturday. And I was about to make a real public post on Facebook, and I was like, let me not do that. Let me actually talk to my brother. Let me tell my brother first. If y'all haven't gathered by now, my brother is my brother, okay? He means a lot to me, a whole heck of a lot to me. Um, and so I was like, let me actually tell my brother before I say anything anywhere, so people not bombarding him, possibly asking him what's going on or what's up, and he don't even know. So I sent my brother a voice note, and I told him, because he was at work or whatever, but I told him, um, and we had like a little conversation about it or whatever. And, um, and he was pretty much like, he was like, if he said, he was like, it may suck, but just wait until mom is free or whatever. So Duda can just go with her. And he loves his grandma. Grandma house, like all the time, right? So it was just very frustrating for me that day because it's like, man, I don't never go out, I don't never do nothing. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't even remember why I brought this up, but that was that moment or whatever. Oh, single parenting. And I was just like, gosh, man, this is not, my community is really not that big here in Houston, for the people that I would trust to watch him like that and watch him overnight. Um, I absolutely trust a lot of people that are not in Houston, and they're just not here. So it just sucks for me. You know what I'm saying? Um, on those days and those nights where I want to be kid free or whatever, I want to have that time for myself. And I don't have that or whatever, but I love my baby nonetheless. Um, I just need those breaks sometimes. I really need those breaks sometimes. Which actually also brings me to the Supermom contest that I am in, and I will put the link somewhere, maybe in my bio or something, where you can vote for me. But they have a getaway, and I told Buki, I said, if I win this contest and I go to California, like the getaway, where the getaway is, you're coming down there with me. You're coming. But yeah, there's a getaway in there. Of course, there's money, and then like a feature in a magazine or something like that. But I really want you guys to vote for me. If you do make it this far into the video and you see this, vote for me, please. Because a break is necessary and needed. And I need it. I really truly do. Um, yeah. So single parenting is tough, it's rough, it's hard. I don't know why people choose to be single parents unless they just have a great big helpful community, then that's different, you know. I don't have that. I don't have that here, so it's just a bit more frustrating for me. Um, but yeah, I think that's all that I have to say. I don't want to rant on my ex or whatever because I have that in me right now to rant and say things or whatever, but I don't want it to be that, right? I do think he's trash. I do think he's not pulling his weight. He's not at all doing that. He's not supportive. He's not covering his child in any way, shape, or form, right? And he is a trash nigga. I said that already, but there you go. I said it again. Um, and I'm in a place where I don't care. You know, I just don't. In this place of healing, I am. In this place of healing, I there is a part of me that has become, like I said, jaded and hard. There was like a miscommunication between me and my guy friends, and he was like, "I've never received this hard you before," and to me, I didn't think I actually came across that hard because I can be right intentionally. I definitely can, but because to him, I have always been the soft me, right? Because I had no reason to ever be hard, and that's how I had always presented myself to be, right? I was really just me, just not hard, right? And I guess he got a glimpse of it, unbeknownst to me, and I was just like, yeah, because I didn't tell him that, but I was like within me, yeah, I have no reason to give my softness to anyone anymore, to any guys anymore. Not any guys that used to have access to me that do not have access to me anymore. Also, with me deactivating his line, I also changed my number. So a lot of people don't have my number anymore, and that's totally fine with me. You can connect with me, communicate with me through Messenger, like everybody does. Um, and that's not just a male thing. Like everybody, if you don't have my number, you can literally reach me on Messenger. And if you don't have my number, it's because we don't talk. We don't talk regularly for you to have my number. No diss, but we just don't, and we can talk on Messenger. That's just that on that. But a lot of guys I did not give my number to anymore, or didn't give my number to any. I was about to say it again. Didn't give my number to because there's no reason for you to have that access to me, especially his dad. You don't need to have that close access to me. You can connect with me also on Messenger when you choose to message me, or when you choose to call your son, right? Um, but also in this year, I think I said this before, but I'm not really focused on dating either. That is not the focus for me, and I'm not interacting with any dudes like that on any level for real. And the dudes that I was maybe conversing with no longer have access to me. And my thought process was, why have that type of access to me when you are like emotionally unavailable? You aren't mine, right? So why give you me? That doesn't make any sense to me. Um, so a lot of people I'm not in contact like that with, and that's okay with me, and that's fine. My life has not changed otherwise. So clearly, um, it, they weren't that much of a factor in my life to cause a rift when I no longer was contacting them anymore, or they aren't contacting me. You're really not doing anything to push me forward. So okay, um, yeah, but that is where I am. I don't want to continue because I'm just ranting on. But that's it. That's all. If you do make it this far, please, please, please vote for me. I will put the link in my stories, and then also in my bio somewhere. Maybe in my link tree so you guys can get to it. But please vote for me on the Supermom contest. I really do truly appreciate it. I was going to say I'll see you next week, but I'm not even about to hold myself to that, because we both know that may not be a possibility, right? But I will see y'all again, and we will talk again. Okay? I hope you guys have a great, great, great weekend, the rest of April, if I don't come back on. But take care of yourselves. Okay? Bye.